part of the universe. We are in the last 7 years of a 26,000-year cycle. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't hide. You can't get your mama to tell you it's not happening. You can't get scientists to say it doesn't happen unless you can get somebody to move the sky. Or someone to convince you that you don't live on a planet. That planet is not in a solar system that has 12 or 13 other planets in it. And that it's not in the galaxy called the Milky Way. And it doesn't spin and move in a procession through each constellation. Now, if you can get somebody to convince you that that is not happening, you have one chance of being able to escape what I'm telling you in the next 2 hours. See what happens when you open up everybody? There's nowhere you can go that this won't be the truth. Nowhere. The changing face of time. Because we are becoming aware of a time in history. The Bible calls it the end times. The Hindus, the day of Kali, the return of the Inman, the 12th Inman. You know, think about it. The Jews are waiting for Jesus to come. The Christians are waiting for him to come back. Islam is waiting for the 12th Inman. And what you're living in right now is what all three of them believe to be the end days. Because of biblical prophecy, because of Quran prophecy, because of the Bible, and the traditions of the so-called Western cultural religions. But the Hopis think that too. The mythology of the people in Mongolia think that too. The tribes on Boa Boa think that too. African nations that's been around thousands of years think that too. The Aborigines think that too. So now we have a changing face of time where multicultures, unrelated to each other, believe the same thing is happening in their mythology. But it also happens to be the end of a 26,000-year cycle. The end of the Piscean Age and the dawn of the Aquarian Age. That mythological story we've always heard in spirituality is now scientifically a reality. Nowhere to go. No one to talk to about it other than accept that that's where we are. It's happening. Look at solar flares. A solar flare. The highest solar flare activity in the history of the Earth will occur in 2010. A solar flare of X amount of magnitude would separate and change the polarity of the magnetic of the pole, North Pole, South Pole. We have a magnetic energy around the Earth called the Schumann resonance. Just like the story of the magnet. A solar flare can change the polarity of magnetism. And if you do a geological study, doing core drillings into Earth, you realize that this has occurred. You realize that this has occurred many, 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 many times in the Earth's past. Roughly every 26,000 years. Scientifically proven. So the change, is that me? So in the changing face of time, it is on time. Now what all does that mean to you? What's it really mean? It means that we have the rarest opportunity to, with our thoughts, hearts, and individual ideals, dawn a new age. To contribute to dawning a new age. Because the changing face of time is our participation in every moment that we spend here. Take a breath. Endless possibilities, everybody. Enormous potential to achieve greatness as powerful, mighty, playful spiritual beings in dignity, direction, and purpose. So let's look at end times. Let's take the New Testament in the King James Version of the Bible. Revelations. So when would the great harlot Babylon, what's called the great harlot Babylon, to know that there is the end of time, and exactly where you would know that the cycle of spiritual growth has ended and a new spiritual cycle is growing or coming. So let's be Christians and Jewish. All right? We're in Babylon. Right now, where the Fertile Crescent, the Tigris and the Euphrates, the Garden of Eden was supposed to be, is in Iraq. At least that's what it says in Genesis. The cradle of civilization is Mesopotamia. That is a country now called Iraq. Babylon is a city 40 miles south of Baghdad. It's the ancient city where the Hanging Gardens of Nebuchadnezzar existed in our biblical history. Our 8th Armored Tank Division is driving tanks around on it, crushing it into rubble. Where our civilization started, a new one is beginning. Biblically, the great harlot Babylon. Well, who's in Babylon today? Us. America. The Iranians. They believe in the 12th Inman. That 12th Inman is the same story of Jesus coming to the Jews. The Messiah was supposed to come, based on biblical prophecy, and destroy the Romans and drive them from the land. So did Jesus do that? No. The Romans stayed for another 400 years, 800 years. So the Iranians believe that when they're surrounded on all sides by the enemy, that would be the end times that the Messiah, the 12th Inman, would return and save them from the great Satan. It's now called the Great Satan America, but the Great Satan. So this president of Iran is a devout Madri believer in the coming of the Messiah who will smite the enemy who tries to invade the Holy Land of Persia, one of the ancient countries of the history of Western civilization. Where it all began in history, we're there now fighting. So when you look at the Iranian or the Mithra legends, the great Inman, when you're surrounded on all sides, who's on the left of Iran? America, Afghanistan. Who's on the right of Iran? America, been in Iraq. Sounds like a good end time scenario for me, huh? So what they're believing was going to happen in the future event that their Messiah would come, we have 3 battle groups off the coast of Persia. 3 battle groups. The Sentry Command, the command center and central command that operates our ongoing theater of warfare for the United States is in Florida. And it's run usually by an Army general. Well, for the first time, the Central Command now is commanded by an